So does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, how are things going? Listen, I mean, you guys, what's going on legal?
Well, you're asking for a short sentence on about an 8-year battle. What's going on currently is the city of Weed is kind of run out of money. Not kind of. The city of Weed has run out of money to continue to do battle with Roseburg. We have just settled with Roseburg in court after being sued by Roseburg once again.
Was they sued?
For claiming that it's not their water. So after another few $100,000. What's that?
They're suing you for making a claim.
Yes.
They sued, excuse me, they sued the city and 9 of us individually. 9 of us were sued individually. 9 of us had to go home and talk to our families and explain to them we were being sued. And the reason was because we were saying that the water wasn't Roseburg's. Saying that basically what we're saying is we got to look at it. And we found some information in the letter that was exposed there. That letter was actually, they were looking for that letter in 1996 when Crystal Geyser came to town. And that letter was found in 2016 in a garage that was owned by the head engineer of Roseburg. And he happened to also be the resource director for International Paper. But the point, I think the one main point is that what we found ourselves in was justice. Justice is about your legal funding. That's what it comes down to. This, the city was going to fight this as long as we could. I was fortunate to be able to oppose it, but the reality is that we ended up having, what we're going to do now is we're going for eminent domain. It's public.
Yeah, it's public enough. We have made them an offer, a last offer on the condition of condemnation, which is the last offer we're going to make prior to taking final action in court. We did settle that case and admit it to the ownership by Roseburg because in order to seek that kind of action, you have to admit that something is not yours. So in technicality, we had to kind of cave in order to seek a remedy that is available to the city. The cost is still going to be costly, but we felt that the city could no longer afford to keep going with attorney fees with an undetermined time limit. The fact that we've spent probably at least $500,000 in court doesn't matter to a company like Roseburg. The amount of money doesn't matter to Roseburg. The amount of money does matter to a small city, though. So we cannot continue to operate our city and continue to pay lawyer fees.
Finish what you were going to say.
I wanted to bring up Maya Craig, who did the film. I think it's real important when she was working on this, trying to put it together, and 9 of us were sued individually. And Maya happened to know one of her professors. She was a student, grad student at UC Berkeley, and one of her mentors was a First Amendment specialist. And Maya connected us with a fellow named Jim Wheaton. He came up and not only he represented us, not only supported us, represented us, and it was one of those things where it was just a godsend. We had somebody to defend us. But we didn't understand how important it was. We made it through this, not understanding that these people that do the pro bono work, they're really, really something special. And without that type of work, we literally, if he hadn't showed up, we literally would have had to shut up, be quiet, not say anymore. Good little children. Really, it was, but here again, I just want to, Maya, she connected us, she took care of us, it was a godsend, but yeah, I think the main thing is to know that these people that are doing this pro bono work, they're taking on something that is very important to them, something they feel they can win, obviously, but it takes specialists in every field. You just can't go get one lawyer to represent you. You have to have a specialist now. But go ahead.
Can you share the backstory of how and when that letter was found and why it took so long to finish?
Well, like I said, it's important to note that the letter was written to Howard Deal. Howard Deal was the resource director for Roseburg, for International Paper, and for some reason, Howard took that file home with him and put it in his garage. He expired, I believe, in 2010 or 11. And his son was cleaning out the garage and felt compelled to bring it to us. And it definitely stated that the water was ours, but it also took water away from the company regarding a slaughterhouse they had. It also took water and gave it to the golf course, which is all legal. They used this letter for that, but not for the other. And trying to find somebody to negotiate this, it's all about attorneys. We have, California water law is pretty basic. It really is. It's basic. You read it, you understand it. But now we have to have a lawyer interpret it. So, and so back to, so he found the letter, brought it to us in 2016, and we thought we were in, but we just couldn't afford to go the distance.
Officially, there was no follow-up to the letter, so the failure of whoever, whether it be the water board, who has in the past, I will leave the present alone, but in the past, they were a pretty, dare I say, sloppy institution. And I think if you talk to probably some of the ranchers in this valley, they would probably, I think they would agree. But the record keeping was horrible. Nothing was written down. Things were lost. Words were transferred. Lots of things in between. We just didn't feel that we had the smoking gun, even though we felt we might be able to win in Siskiyou County. Going out to Sacramento on another course of appeals that would go on and on, decided to take our last other option. Yeah.
You've been talking about Roseburg. Could you explain again what part Crystal Geyser has with this?
It's somewhat sensitive, but I think the main thing is that obviously the putting a monetary value or raising the monetary value on water, and for something like a company like Crystal Geyser, they're huge, and they're also something that they're somewhat insulated in this. They're insulated. They're if the water's there for sale, they're going to purchase it. They obviously instigated the need for that water. I want to say one other thing regarding that is that in 1996, when Crystal Geyser came to town, they came to the city of Weed because the state said that we own the water. That's why they came. And in 1996, it fell through the cracks. And it's just a reminder that we depend upon our city leaders. But in 1996, they looked at it like, well, we need the jobs. We just lost 750 jobs in 1982. we need jobs. You know, we'll do what we have to, and, well, if they're gonna sell, going to, sell the water to, excuse me, if Roseburg was gonna sell the water to Crystal Geyser, well, so be it. They're really not gonna take our water in 2016. We still had 20 years on that lease, and we just kicked the can down the road, and, yeah, they came after the water.
I'll address Crystal Geyser's role. Crystal Geyser is a private corporation. Roseburg Forest Products is a private corporation. The amount of money that goes between those two outfits is between them. It's not public record. So we have made some conditional offers based on the price of water because of our attorneys have been able to see those records, but they're also done with a non-disclosure. So although our appraiser and our water attorney understand the values that are being thrown back and forth, we do not have that privilege. We could get that privilege out of court. However, again, we talk another $20, $30, $40, $50,000. So when you see this from a city standpoint, at least from a city council standpoint, I look at how much we paid for the attorneys every month. It's significant. If the bleed has to stop somewhere, that's what we're attempting to do. And even our current attempt, it's still going to bleed a little bit. Okay.
We're good for one more?
If a decision was made in your favor, would you be selling, in Weed's favor, wouldn't we be selling water to Crystal Geyser?
No.
No?
Chris, out of those particular springs come 9, I think 9 to 10 cubic feet per second. The city of Weed is currently using 1.5 because they shrunk down when we had to come into an agreement with them. What we're requesting is 2.0 back to our normal. We're not sure how much Crystal Geyser gets. We suspect about 3/4 of a cubic foot, but we suspect also that they're wanting a lot more. I don't know if that answers.
I'd like to make one more point regarding the future. There are these water rights that aren't being used by Roseburg and other entities. These water rights aren't being used now. But what's going to happen to I'd like to have the ranchers downstream start thinking about what if they decide to take this water when it's been being used for 100 years downstream. Everybody's counting on this water. If it's taken out of the headwaters, I mean, it's something to think about it's not going to happen this year, but it's very well 50 years down the road. What we're dealing with our community is the future. I mean, this is going to be forever. If we don't have this water, we're going to be paying extra for this water forever. And we're looking at, something we can almost afford.
They do have the ability to take 2/3 of that water. No, Roseburg has the ability to take 2/3. What they do with it is their business.
Okay, so can we give a warm welcome